Hey guys, this is Alex, Camp Living Water. Hope you're doing great. I'm having a little bit of difficulty videotaping, so we'll see how well this works out. I can't spend too much time on it because I've got a lot of stuff going this weekend and next weekend and a couple events between now and then. So unfortunately this video isn't going to be as professional as I wish it was. So before we get into the schedule, let's talk a little bit about some of the key events that are the reasons why I'm changing the schedule. And then we'll talk about the schedule, and then I'll have some questions for you guys to give me some feedback on what you would like to see or change and so on and so forth. So number one, Camp Living Water motto, God's Christ magnified. We exist so that way people can understand the goodness of God, not only in salvation, but in every aspect of their life, and just how amazing He is. And so there's kind of three aspects to that. One, they need to know about it. We need to know, let's use justice as an example, that God is just, and this is what justice means, and this is how it kind of plays into who's God's character. Second, we need to believe it and make it personal for ourselves. We need to believe that, hey, this isn't just Christians believe in God's justice, or the Bible teaches it, but I believe it. And then thirdly, you need to apply that truth to your life and to the way you treat other people and the way you respect and honor and worship God and the way you think about Him. And then that's kind of the process of discipleship, is learning those three elements. And so I hope to do that a whole lot more with the program. Kind of integrate people informing them about who God is, getting them to accept it, and getting them to apply it to their lives. When we look at how should we go about doing that, we want to look at the discipleship model, just because I think it's the most biblical model. It's the most hands down proven one, and it's also the one that kind of plays to our strengths. And so that's one key that I'd like to try to change in our schedule. Is let's try to play to the things that Camp Living Water has to offer that you guys maybe can't get other places. And so we can watch maybe the best YouTube sermons in the world, anywhere in the world, because it's on YouTube. But you can't have that one-on-one discipleship with peers, interaction, talking and dealing with people who have totally different ideas, and learning how to help and bless each other in a personal level. We can read the best books in the world anywhere. You don't have to come to camp for that. But let's focus on some of that discipleship model since we're here. Other things is that this discipleship idea isn't just for campers. Everyone is growing in what it means to be a disciple of God and how to live in response to His goodness and glory and His love for you. And so another change that I hope to kind of make into the schedule is how can we train our staff and get them to be staff at the same time, and make those two kind of ideas of, one, you're going to be learning as a staff member, but two, you're going to be teaching. And sometimes they seem a little conflicted, but hopefully we can get them to kind of work together. And so that way, when you come to camp, it's not, hey, you got a week of staff training, and then the rest of the summer you're just going to spend pouring into the other staff and pouring into the campers. And then hopefully you have enough steam and momentum off of training to push you all the way through the end. But we'll see if we can coordinate that into the schedule, or how well I'm doing with this one right here. Let's see, other things. One, our events have either been a little bit lame, or our campers are just lame and don't want to participate in them, or our staff don't have the training and the abilities to run the crafts very well, or some combination of those three, or something else. Just make camp great again is basically another contribution, reason why we're changing the schedule a little bit. So hopefully it'll be a little bit more fun, and crack down on some of the reasons why it's not as much fun. Let me think. What else was there that I was going to say along those lines? Probably not too much. The main idea, though, is that it's discipleship based for everyone. Everyone who comes to camp is going to be involved in learning those three, to know about God's goodness, to accept it for themselves, and to apply it to their everyday life. Whether it's a camper, a staff member, a speaker, myself, I learn stuff about those three things every single day. On top of salvation and the Holy Spirit, those are obviously fundamental and come before those three. And then using that to pour into other people, using the gifts that God. So I guess that would be really the last thing I'd mention is we have campers and staff who come in from all these places with all this skill, and we want to be able to coordinate that and able to use them for ministry here, rather than just, hey, this is the speaker and he's the best person we have on campus for speaking, and so he's going to do all the speaking. Or this person is the best at leading this craft, and so they're only going to lead that craft, and everyone else is just going to participate in it. We're going to try to get everyone involved in learning the skills, and the people who are good at those skills, not just performing them, but teaching other people to become good at leading, boating, or whatever the craft happens to be. Anyhow, I hope that makes sense. Let's go ahead and dive into the schedule. And so right up here, 7 o'clock, staff meeting. Staff meeting is pretty much the same as what you guys would expect it to be. Well, no, actually it's not. Skip that. A lot of this stuff is a little different, and I kind of forget because I changed it so many times. I don't know exactly, and I'll explain it a little bit later, but hopefully like a fun staff meeting for the first half an hour, and then a kind of a serious, pertinent information to that day's event that is applicable to everyone at 7:30 till 8, and then maybe a little break-off prayer time. 8 o'clock breakfast. During breakfast, there'll be a time after the line dies down and campers have gotten their food. It'll be a quiet breakfast, and we'll just have the speaker or some other person give about a 15-minute talk on a good solo time. Where to read in the Bible, how to read, what are we looking for, how does God meet us in the Bible? I mean, isn't it just text? How can we say that God taught me this thing when I read these words? Or how to pray, all that sort of stuff, right in staff meeting. Right in breakfast for about 15 minutes, and then dismiss the campers to solo time. Solo time at 8:45, going to 9:15. That's 30 minutes. That's the teen camp schedule. Junior camp, maybe shorten that down just a little bit. Then we hit a 3-hour craft period here and a 4-hour craft period here. You'll notice that there's no chapel in the morning, and there's no cabin cleanup in the morning. And so cabin cleanup, I'm still not sure what to do with that. I might put it in here for junior camp and just leave it out for teen camp. This is kind of the junior camp schedule over here, by the way, and this is the teen camp schedule. I'm going to talk about the teen camp after. But so far, it's going to be the same for both of them. Anyhow, so junior camp, the solo time might get started just a little bit later, just because camper is not participating and wanting to be quiet and stuff. Anyhow, craft period starting at 9:15. They'll have A craft, B craft, and then C and D, just like regular, except now we've got a free time down here in the morning where we didn't have one before. And so let's talk about crafts. So for junior camp, we're going to just focus on the junior camp schedule, and then we'll get back and talk about the teen camp schedule after I've gone through, because it's just easier to explain the junior camp schedule. So crafts, think your 4 regular crafts. Take climbing and games and put climbing with handcrafts and games with target shooting. And then because there won't be a climbing and games craft, put in Bible, which will kind of replace the morning chapel, but they'll alternate through it just like they would regular crafts. then have that one craft led by not the speaker, but the speaker's assistant. And so that'll be another position opening up in staff, and it'll be pretty similar to, never mind. He'll be pretty similar to the speaker, and he'll get the information, what he's going to teach, and that curriculum kind of already pre-prepared from the speaker, but it's the speaker's job is to kind of train them in how to lead chapels for kids. And so the speaker won't be required to be there. And then they might also instruct them to do it like a breakout session by cabins, or he might, speak for 15 minutes and then hand everyone a little paper and have them fill out the questions and go through the text and learn and study it for themselves. And then for the last 15 minutes, kind of do a question and answer and a wrap-up session. Something, those small group, but discipleship-based, not only for the campers, but for the staff and for the speaker's assistant. And then the speaker will be overseeing that whole thing, but won't necessarily be at every single one of them. Then when we get into, what else do I need to say about crafts? Crafts, hour long. There's not going to be a break in between of them. They're going to be back to back here, but there's going to be a craft time in between. And then these free times. So there's a free time here. There's free time at 3 o'clock and at 5 o'clock. So it's 3 1-hour sessions of free time. And I'm thinking I might do a fourth during cabin cleanup. And we'll get into how that's going to work in just a second. So the idea is to take all the staff and divide them up into 4 groups. And I might keep the staff members that are of the same team together. And since they're already together a lot, have them meet together for a third staff training during those times. And so how are we going to pull that off, having less staff during free time? We're going to, hopefully, the idea is to have zoned campers. And so the campers can't just be anywhere in the camp. They can be in a certain area, and they'll get to either sign up for that area or just kind of roam between areas as long as they're actively on their way to the next area. And so it might be just like the gym area and the creek area. Sign up for one, be at one. And then if you sign up for the creek area, we're going to have 5 staff down there, however many staff it needs. And they're going to open up these activities, and it might be 3 staff in the pool, and then 2 staff at the creek, and then let's make it 6 staff, and then another staff member in the pavilion leading a game of psychiatrist or something. And so all of the campers that are in the creek area have to be at one of those 3 things. They don't have to be at that one thing for the entire time, the entire free time, but they have to be in that area for the entire free time. They can't go over to the gym area. And then same thing, the gym area, maybe have Gaga open and 9 Square and a volleyball game and the climbing wall and so on and so forth. Still figuring out the details on that. Also, then having staff assigned to those areas too. And so that way we know that we have each of the areas covered by a staff member, and they can put on a organized activity like Nerf War, but it could be signs, it could be board games, but it wouldn't be required. It's not like every camper has to go to this activity. It just gives them a fun event that they can participate in. Let's see, what else do we need to say about that? So during the free times, staff are doing that, or the shortage of staff is now doing that with the zoned campers. And then the other staff are going to have their team meeting, which will probably consist of something like a nugget put on by the speaker, or possibly this other position that we're opening up. Then a time of sharing, just, hey, what's going on in your cabins? What is God been speaking to you by solo time? Maybe what are you struggling with? Do you have any problems with discipline to your campers? Let's try to help each other out and build each other up. Kind of like what we would like to do during staff meeting in previous years, but there just hasn't been enough time to have everyone go around the circle and share details on what's going on in their cabin. So kind of put that down here in a small group setting. Question and answer. So, hey, this is what's happening. What have you guys done in the past when this happened, or so on and so forth. And then a time of prayer, probably a little bit longer than what happens in the morning. And then circle activity. I don't know why I forgot to write circle activity on there, but a fun time of whatever game it wants to be. And so that happens 3 to 4 times a day, depending on how I'm going to do it. And the speaker will be there, hopefully, which should work out in all of my speakers that I am working on picking out. And possibly this new position, which I don't know what really to call it. I like to call it counselor. The counselors, the senior counselor is what I've also heard it termed as, but someone who has a lot of counseling skill, but is someone you guys can really look up to and learn from, and who's good at teaching and explaining and helping the staff grow in their role as counselors. I could start listing off some names that you would know, but we'll leave that out for right now. So I guess one question that we're gonna bump into is, who do you want, or what personality characteristics, skills are you looking to learn that I could select someone for that position that would be ideal to teach the things you're looking to learn. And then they'll just spend, hopefully there'll be a couple, a guy and a girl, and they'll spend the entire camp just helping you guys out become better staff during the whole schedule, all throughout the day. They'll be watching. If you need a break, you need some advice, they'll be on the wings when the campers are on the wings. They'll be kind of bouncing around between activities, just seeing what's going on, giving me feedback on how to change program stuff, and giving you guys feedback and ideas on how to improve your counseling skills, and just make your job a bit easier. What else do I need to say about that? Anyhow, free time here. Lunch, 12:30. Cabin time and cabin cleanup with verses during junior camp. So we're pretty much just talking about junior camp right now. Cabin cleanup is might be during the cabin time. Some people said it's a bad idea. Some people said it's a great idea. I'm not really sure what to think about it right now. So you might have to wait on that one. But pretty sure during team camp, this is what it'll be. If it's cabin cleanup isn't here, we're going to just bump this block down another 20 minutes or something. And so that way this free time here won't be what it is now. It's an hour and 15. It'll be like an hour or 45 minutes or something to put cabin cleanup right after solo time. Anyhow, up for debate. Tell me what you guys think on that one. Still working through it. Free time to 3 o'clock with Snack Shack. I think that covers all this schedule. Dinner, 6 o'clock. Junior camp, we're thinking of putting chapel after dinner and then prime time after chapel, so which is switched of what it normally is. The idea of leave fun activities to last, and then burn off that energy right before they go to bed. And so it's not like, hey, we just sat through an hour of chapel, let's go run. Wouldn't work for teen camp though, because the whole schedule gets pushed down a little bit for teen camp, and then it'll be dark by the time they get out of cabin cleanup. So, or not cabin, out of chapel, if chapel was first, because chapel would end at like 8:30 or so, and then prime time would have to go until like 9:30 or something, and it would be dark, and so it wouldn't work. And I don't think teen campers struggle with that energy as much as junior campers. Lights out, junior camp, 10 o'clock. That's the thought for junior camp. Let me know, and let's go ahead and start diving into the teen camp schedule. So teen camp, morning, same exact thing. Same exact thing with solo time. This will then be 2 time block periods for major craft. We have a morning major and an afternoon major, and it might be one, it might be the other. No, I don't know what I was saying there. There might be more than one here, and there might be more than one down here. So you can sign up for paintball and tubing as a major craft during the morning, or you can sign up for boating and outdoor adventures in the afternoon. Actually, that wouldn't work. And kind of the idea here is to be able to provide major crafts and to be able to put the right staff with them, because we're doing morning and afternoon, but more importantly, to put the vans on both of them. And so that way we can always have 2 vans for this major craft and 2 vans for this major craft. And so it's not, hey, boating with 1 van in the afternoon and then outdoor adventures with 1 van, where you're both kind of limited to 2 small major crafts. We can make some big major crafts, but then still run enough major crafts for all the campers to be able to do them. And then if there's a major craft that can happen at camp, we can add that in addition to major crafts with vans. And so like if this one was outdoor adventures, which need 2 vans, then we could also do tower, or we could do run them up to the park real quick before they go on outdoor adventures, or we could do paintball in the gym as a major, which lasts this entire 3-hour block here, or a 4-hour block in the afternoon. Only allowed to sign up for 1 major a day, and then with the craft period that they don't sign up for a major, they have during the A craft time slot a Bible, which will be in a small group breakout session. I'll get into that. And then during B craft will be a fun activity, pretty much like the mandatory fun that has happened for the past couple of years, except for possibly a little bit longer or a little bit shorter, depending on what we want to do with it. And so I'm thinking for this one, possibly bumping it up, or both of them, possibly bumping them up time-wise. And so right now it would be at 10:15, the mandatory fun craft that they signed up for, go to 11:15, maybe making it till 11:30. So it's an hour and 15 minutes, just a little bit more time, but then they still get an hour of free time. In the afternoon, same thing, except for maybe even bumping this mandatory fun up to a little bit more, an hour and 45 minutes or even 2 hours, or maybe just leaving it an hour and then putting prime time in the afternoon. I don't really like the idea of doing that, because if you have a major that wants to run all afternoon, all the way till dinner, then they miss out on prime time, which isn't really ideal. But the thing we're bumping into here is that this afternoon time block is 4 hours. If we do a Bible for an hour and then a craft for an hour, they've got 2 hours, which I think is a little too much free time. And so for junior camp, I think we might be able to hold it down. But for teen camp, I think we should be able to create some fun activities in there. You also see in shop here, that's because if you sign up for the morning Bible and fun, and then end up not doing a major in the afternoon, if you don't want to go to another Bible, you're going to be forced to go to another Bible because there's nothing else for you to do. And so the thought is maybe open up like a kind of a work craft. It's not really just work, but something that's not really super fun, but something that's not super theological. It's more practical. And so let's go help Josh do something in the shop, and he'll be maybe making a picnic table. That's one of the things we talked about so far. And so you can help Josh in the shop, kind of learn some life skills, which is really cool. And then, I don't know, get some cool swag out of it. Maybe he'll make you a friendship bracelet for it or something. Not very likely, though. Other thoughts are just expanding this a little bit, so that way it shrinks this free time down, or just leaving the free time and then making it maybe more of a mandatory fun, where it's a little more low-key than the sign-up fun activities in the afternoon, but still organized and keeping people from doing things they shouldn't be doing. Or supervised. That would be the word. Supervised. I'm getting my grammar skills down. It's impressive. Anyhow, not exactly sure, but I'd like to leave this 4-hour block for a major craft. One other thing about these majors is that potentially make it, if you sign up for this major, you have to go to the fun activity that is training for it in the morning. And so say it's Outdoor Adventures. Hey, during this time slot, or say it's Outdoor Adventures, this major craft, during this time slot you might be getting ready your life jackets and in a class about proper jumping technique and how not to hit your face on the rock, or how to rock hop, or whatever it happens to be. And so that way they have more time to actually be jumping and doing crazy stuff during this, because everyone was trained and got their life jacket and explained the rules and stuff during this time. Anyhow, everyone's required to go to a Bible either in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the afternoon. These Bibles, I almost forgot to say this. I'm thinking of doing 4 breakout sessions, morning and night, with a maximum of 15 people per breakout. Not that we want to limit those breakout sessions to only being heard by 15 people, but we want to limit them to being 15 people at a time. And so it will be led by a counselor, or actually 2 counselors in my idea. And exactly 2, not just around 2, like 2. And they can work together and prepare it, or one can just lead and the other one just be there to listen, just because it's better in 2s, I figure. But 15 people, because that's a good number for camper to counselor ratio, but it's also, it's not too high to have any good small group discussion, but it's not too low where it kind of messes up the camper counselor ratio, where I've got all of my staff leading leading small groups and none to lead crafts. So I'm thinking right around 15, and then 4 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, and they can repeat as many times as there's a demand. And so let's say one of them is Joel's testimony. Everybody wants to hear Joel's testimony. It's amazing. And so 15 people sign up for it on Monday morning, and then in the afternoon he does it again, and then he does it that way. Let's see, 15, say there's 100 campers. So he would do like 6 or so of those crafts. Maybe 7 actually. And so he does it for 3 days, and then a 4th day, just 1 session. And so it's the same material, but it allows everybody to hear that one thing, but it allows Joel to present it in a small group discussion way, rather than a big audience. And then it also allows him to hone his presentation communication skills. And so he gets better at presenting and teaching over that time, rather than just doing it once and then having to prepare something different for the next topic. And so we'll let everyone prepare some of these. Some of these can be girls only. Some of them, they'll range in topic from, testimonies to evangelism to life lessons that I've learned, or anything that you guys really want to speak about, that as long as it's very biblical based, biblically based would be the better word, the more correct term, and not heretical, I guess. Again, speaker would not be at every single one of them because there are 4 at the same time. Neither could the speaker's assistant, but they would be available during free times or something like that for you guys to ask them and get advice on how to prepare those things better, or if they're something you're going to do 15 times, or not 15, like 7 times, you're going to do the same message, so that way all the campers can hear it. You might try to listen to one of the earlier ones you do, give some feedback, and so that way you do it better later in the week. And so that would require pretty much all you staff to come up with at least one. Some of you are going to want to come up with multiple. Others, probably one is going to be a stretch. But one way that you can teach people, and I think that's pretty practical and pretty reasonable for everyone to say, hey, I'm going to lead an hour session on my testimony and things that God has taught me and grown me, and just have a time of sharing with some other staff, or not other staff, other campers, because right now the way it is that's kind of been happening at Cabin Devotions, and then only your campers really can hear that unless you split a cabin devotion with other campers. Some of those things that you might be sharing in cabin devotions, everyone in the camp could benefit from hearing. So anyhow, we'll get into some more of those details later. Let's shift. So cabin devotions then hopefully will be more of a discussion time of, hey, what did you guys learn today, and how can we help process that with each other? And so, every one of your campers may have gone to a different breakout session. If you've got 8 different campers and there's 8 breakout sessions, they may have all gone to each different one and learned something different, and they can all teach that to everyone else, and kind of give a little time of testimony. You can also do the same, and then just kind of work on a discipleship. Share what you learned in solo time, or what you thought of the message. A lot more sharing happening at Cabin Devotions rather than just another session of teaching. My mouth's going a little dry. What else do we need to talk about? Dinner for teen camp, same. Prime time, same. Prime time going until 8:30, possibly. Chapel, then going for an hour and a half, which for junior camp you may have noticed this. It's an hour and 15 minutes instead of an hour. Teen camp, an hour and a half, possibly because of the desire for a little extra speaking time for the speaker, because they're going to be spending a lot less time speaking than they normally do, and then more time for singing and worship music, because they don't spend very much time doing that either, because they won't have a morning chapel. And so in the morning chapels, I wasn't thinking of doing that unless we have someone leading a breakout session that plays a guitar or something else that people can sing to. I won't be leading any singing chapels, or leading any singing in breakout sessions, if you're wondering. Then heading to cabins, 9:15 for junior camp, 10 o'clock for teen camp, lights out at 10 for junior camp, and 11 for teen camp. Another thing for staff burnout and staff training is, as you notice, where we're going to fit those third staff times that I had for junior camp over here. I might do one during the 11 o'clock free time, one in the afternoon free time, and then one during this opt-out devotions time. And so going from chapel and during teen camp, or from prime time during junior camp, have another counselor put your campers to bed. And so we can take that third staff, that third or quarter, whatever it happens to be, and do another one of these activities for the staff. What else do I need to say along those lines? Nope, I think that covers it. Anyhow, give them a little bit more breathing room. Where's my Sharpie marker? Not Sharpie marker. L and F is the last one. L and F. Man, I can write. This schedule, we're going to put L and F ending at 11 o'clock all summer long, besides possibly Friday nights and Saturday nights. I know some of you guys are going to be a little bit mad at me for this, possibly. But we'll see. It's still an idea. Anything on this schedule can change, including this. Idea behind it is the 8 hours of sleep. Always a good idea to get 8 hours. And I think I can repurpose a lot of these amazing activities that happen at LNF into different ways. And so, one, I just talked about the opt-out devotions. Two, teen camp, having an opt-out cabin time where it will just be 2 staff members per wing, one on the top floor and one on the bottom floor. And all the doors will be required to be open pretty much. And they'll just kind of walk around. And then all the staff will leave the wing, besides those 2 staff per side, and have basically an LNF activity. And then maybe a little bit of this here too. But something along those lines. And then, what else do I need to say along those lines? Then the campers will be responsible for cleaning up their cabin and then try to memorize some verses. Probably going to have to undermine verses a little bit more than it used to be. And the quote-unquote problem campers that maybe haven't been proven problem campers, or they're just kind of on a watch list, we'll have them sit out on the bench outside of the rooms, and so that way, maybe they're not responsible for causing all the fights in their cabin or something, but they happen to be in the middle of every single one of them. And so the easiest way to kind of solve the fights is to just pull them and separate them out. And so your whole cabin needs to be in the cabin, but this one camper sits out on the bench, and then whatever ones it happens to be out on the bench, kind of pretty visible by the person who's just walking room to room. That's kind of the thought. And so that way, really only 4 staff needed here, and then the rest can be out doing a staff activity. So that'll somewhat take the place of an LNF. Junior camp will still be an LNF, but it'll just end at 11, which is only an hour from lights out. And so if you're a counselor, it's not a whole lot. But again, it's not, what was I saying? I don't even remember right now. It's not that long, because if you get your kids out at 11, you stay until 10, or no, out at 10, and then you stay until 10:15, and then lights out is at 11, so LNF closes at 10:45, and it's really only 30 minutes. But the thing is usually with junior camp, we've got a lot more OCS, and so OCS could be responsible, and we'll have it assigned up, or it'll be assigned, really, very scheduled, to do that opt-out devotion with you, and so you'll be basically attending half or you'll only be putting your kids to bed half of the time, if that's what you want to do. Anyhow, that's the basic rundown of the schedule. Sorry it takes so long. There's a lot I would like to discuss with you guys. Right now, I'm mainly focusing on the big major events. And so if you want to talk to me about prime time and how we need to do different games, and these are the cool games, definitely want to hear it. But right now, that's not so much what I'm trying to nail down, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have a prime time. It's going to be about an hour. I don't really care where it's going to be in the schedule, or I'm going to try to nail that down right now. But it's not new. I'm not hoping to change everything about it besides just like the activities. Get the big major activities all pretty squared away by team camp. Oh no, by staff reunion. And then starting at staff reunion, start discussing the details of, hey, let's play more of these activities during prime time, or during these Bible crafts, let's talk more about these topics, or who's going to teach what ones and sessions, and what fun activities you want to do. Some of those very specific things we'll start talking about at staff reunion and after staff reunion. But until then, main questions I really am looking to know are, what do you want in a camp speaker? And so I'm pretty close. I'm talking to 3 different people right now. I don't know if they'll come through and it'll all work out for them yet. But I can tell them, hey, my staff are looking for someone to give more sessions on this, or they'd like more training on this. This is what you can be prepared to give them during these times. All those sort of things I need to know, so that way I can let them know, and then they can prepare to do it for team camp. And I can pick speakers who are a good fit for you guys. Also, for the counselor position, maybe it'll be one person all summer long. Maybe it'll be a different person for each camp. Up in the air right now. But what do you want for a person for there? And then just, what do you think of this small group session idea? What do you think of the free times idea? What do you think of the fun idea? Having 2 major crafts a day. What was the other thing I was going to say? And are you going to be able and willing to lead a small group breakout on whatever it happens to be? Anyhow, really look forward to hearing you guys' input. Hopefully I will put out a Google Docs or something like that sometime, so that way we can just kind of have an open discussion forum. We can all edit the same page, and they'll type in your answers to the questions. So something else I was going to say. Hopefully I will put out a printed schedule on the website. Well, probably not the website. Where am I going to put that? I might have to text you a picture of it, because it's not, I'm still editing it, so I don't want it to be all over the internet yet. And, oh yeah, any feedback, you can call me. If you don't have my number, I'll put it right here. Let's see, what is my number? 828-538-0037. Call me, text me anytime. I'm hoping to text out a link of this video, and then I'm going to start a group chat, hopefully through text, because I think that's everyone's best form of communication. The sad thing about that is, I think my computer will let me text an unlimited amount of texts in one or an unlimited amount of people in one group text, but you guys won't be able to respond in that, because most likely your providers don't let you participate in a group text of 100 or 30 or whatever it happens to be. And so you'll have to respond to me individually, but at least I can shoot out the information to all of you in one text. Yeah. You have any questions? Feel free to let me know. And if you're ever in the area, swing by, come eat dinner with me. It's some amazing bachelor food, and it's pretty delicious. Have a good one, guys. Thanks. Bye.